To educate a man in mind and not in morals is to educate a menace to society. A ship is meant to be out at sea, but she's the safest in a harbor. Ethical conduct is the compass that guides us when we set sail into uncertain waters. Welcome everyone. My name is Captain Zarir Irani. I've been out at sea for 14 years, done my time as they say, and have been involved in the maritime business for 34 years and counting. Today we're going to talk about the ethical compass of a marine business. For that matter, these principles are fair and can be applied to any business. I am talking from being trained in ethics. I've written a few books about it, or rather chapters in books about it. One of them is out there on guidelines on collecting maritime evidence. You have a collision between two cars and there will be a police or an investigator or an insurance surveyor coming to investigate who was at fault. But what if you are 12 miles beyond and at sea? There are people like us who are asked to go out there and give a comment on the cause, extent, and nature of the incident and the damage involved. We are the voice. We collect evidence for those who ask us to, may it be a charterer, an insurance company, or an owner. And based on our damage assessment, there are money exchanged between the person who is at fault and not. So ethics is key. Integrity is the cornerstone of everything that we, or likes of us, consultants do in the business. You can see what I'm wearing and where I'm coming from. Take a guess. You will know why ethics have been talked about from when we were kids at home into our community, into our families. And I bring that to you today. That's me in my work clothes, and I'm very proud of it. That was one of my contentions, wanting to come here in a boiler suit, but then I chose this. But let's get on with navigating what ethics is. Where is the problem statement? So strap in. We're going to sail to hypocrisy of the high seas and higher insurance premium if you follow the wrong path. And that's the cost, and that's the problem statement. Where the moral compass always points somewhere. It's always nice to point the compass north, the true north for that sake, and the direction where your destination is. But it points somewhere in the real world. And there's a lot of confusion regarding what ethics is and what ethics should be. So our voyage will explore the maritime morality or the lack thereof today. So, welcome on board. Let's talk about the intangible gains if you do follow the right path. What is in it for me? We just heard earlier, what is in it for me? Why should I? So you get a very nice sleep that's not sponsored by antacids or magnesiums. So your pillow becomes your best friend. That, my dear friends, is priceless. Trust me, if you've not done something right, there will be a subconscious pricking you somewhere. And I took a pause with intent. So customers will pay you on time because they will be worried about you speaking back. And if you have high moral grounds or high ethical standards, they will definitely pay up in time. So your functioning coffee machines in your break rooms will be what you will get in return. And if you ask your staff members, that is priceless. So let's get a little deep into what it takes. You know, these kind of units that go around. If you have a watch, a brand new, let's say a watch you get, you dip it in coffee, hot coffee, it malfunctions, and then you go and claim your warranty claim saying, hey, my watch's not working, God bless Steve Jobs or whoever, Tim is there now, give me my claim for my warranty. He said, you dipped the watch in coffee. How is that enabling you to pay the warranty claim that you deserve? Likewise, at sea, risk assessment is key. There are some standards, there are some good practices that we sailors or people who are involved at sea understand. So, a consultant, if he sugarcoats a report and gives a sail away certificate, which is what we go out there to do. There's a huge ass 1,000-ton, 1,000-ton unit being loaded on a ship, and it's going to be lifted. If that cargo is not lashed, if it's not stowed properly, if the center of gravity is not aligned, you will have a consequence when she goes out at sea in open waters. So your reputation gets torpedoed, future work dries up if there is even one such incident where you have sailed out a vessel without doing the due checks which are required. So you've given a clean chit, in other words, she's okay to go, the claim gets paid, but in effect there was something lacked. So transparency isn't just a good practice, it is your career's anchor. So if somebody is influencing that with having their own interest in mind, you have to question whether you have been ethical if they have not been. So somewhere you have to align yourself with the correct practices. That is an example which I give. Then comes another aspect which we are involved in, which is an expert witness service. So our duty of care is to the judge or the arbitration tribunal, where they rely on us to give them the right advice. So that we have got both the parties who are arguing their submissions in front of us, and the judge is requiring our technical view, our expert advice on analyzing both the arguments. So neutrality and common sense is what is key in such a matter, because common sense usually needs a lawyer. And most of the lawyers, if you meet them at a bar, you will see how they laugh at their clients' submissions or arguments. Most of them do. So when things sink, stories do too. And that's where we enter. Some of the expert witness nominations that I've attended were so common sense, and we were wondering why they had gone to court and arguing. But then we are available globally. We charge our fees in dollars, and skepticism is in tons that we carry in our bags. I am an ambassador, fortunately, of the Baltic Expert Witness Association, and I bear the responsibility of this word. I carry it as like a crown jewel on me, and that is the sword by which we live and get sloshed by if there are even an iota of doubt in our conduct. And that's why it's so important to be. Now let's come to an aspect which affects everyone's day-to-day life. It's rainy season these days, and health and safety is key. May it be that hungry mosquito who comes and sits on your wrist trying to get himself a meal, that car that drives past you sloshes a little rainwater on your well-ironed whites. So let's talk about an example of such where it is related to maritime. All sailors who come out are supposed to be well trained in survival skills, health and safety regulations. So let's say, I'm not talking about particularly the region I'm speaking at, but everywhere in the world there are shortcuts taken, and let's say trainings are flogged, certificates are written down, trainings are not done effectively and efficiently, and one such junior slipped, having done such training, slipped on board a slippery deck and fractured his skull and his pride. The ship had to medevac. When you say medevac, there is a helicopter and there is an emergency evacuation of the sick or the injured, and that delays and stops the vessel from sailing out. Consequences were stoppage of work, compensations were paid, and visit by the health and safety gods on board the ship trying to analyze the risk assessment and what went wrong. Lessons learned: safety delayed is disaster invited. So training is key, awareness on board is key. You can't give somebody a helmet and safety shoes and leave him out there to figure it out when and how to use it. You got to train the guy or girl. So train your people, prepare or be prepared for writing down statements. Here comes the lovely part of the business, for the wealthy. And we have a lot of experience with ethics relating to such successful characters, relatively speaking. So we are the therapist for their boats. We value their boats. We do a risk assessment. We tell them whether that boat is their dream child or their dream toy that they wanted to buy or purchase. So we advise them on the vessels occasionally, also on their midlife crisis, because those who are getting into such purchases are not pipsqueaks. They're usually well into their midlife. So we navigate insurance, investment, and also egos that are attached to them. Because a lot of times they walk about a yacht and they'll fall in love with it. They have to want to buy it. But when we come across and ethically speaking, give them a 20-point defect list on them, their ego gets shaken up because they've told their family and friends, showed them videos and photographs of what is going to be their dream boat. Now it is us coming out there and telling them and showing them with evidence what is not right in the boat. And that's where we got to firmly put our foot down on the floor and say, that's what we have to say about your boat. She's not worth 4 million. It's no more than 2.5 in the market. You want to pay 4 million, go ahead. But this is our value certificate. So ROI for these people is regret on board investment. So when they pay such money, they usually do not understand that the purchase price is literally just the tip of the iceberg. The real expense is to keep the vessel afloat, and most of it is by first-time yacht owners and boat owners. What happens once you buy a boat or a ship, whatever, we also value ships, but there comes a part of registering those crafts. Now here's a choice that you have. Unlike if you are in this town, you would probably say there is no other choice. I'll probably go to the RTA here and get the vehicle or my truck or my whatever vehicle we are registered here. But if I tell you versus here, the registration in London would be a better bet for your car here, or in Timbuktu, you would laugh at me. But on ships or for yachts, it's not so. You can purchase a boat where I live in Dubai, but you can fly any flags, and I've got 3 flags there. Antigua and Barbuda, to Luxembourg, to Gabon. The buffet is open, so you can fly and register the yacht or boat anywhere you like. I'm a very proud registrar for Antigua and Barbuda in Middle East and in Singapore. But you would wonder why Luxembourg is there. Landlocked country, registering ships, call that for ethics. And Gabon, I put that flag registry there with a reason, because we have got a surprisingly and scaringly growing dark and shadow fleet. And the rest, you can join the dots. So ethical regulations or flexible interpretations thereof is all that you can guess. There are tiers. They call themselves whitelisted, graylisted, and blacklisted for a reason. And yet, the fastest growing ones are, I don't want to name them, but those which are flexible in and call themselves flags of conveniences. Antigua and Barbuda has been a flag since 1986 and is in the white list with most port state regulations. Moving on, adopting sustainable practices. Everywhere there is greenwashing these days, so you can't not talk about the environment while you're talking about ethics. Let's say, for example, a ship owner is dumping oil knowingly, unknowingly. Their crew does it by mistake. We don't want to get there. But he thinks the fish won't tell, it's dark, they won't know. But these days, drone footages and social media have a memory that will not let you forget. So the ethical thing to do there is to report promptly, even if it is your fault. So this is key to understand. So the sea never forgets is what we say when we are at sea. So ethical conduct with regards to environment, because it's a vast span there, is very important. So what is the wind of our sails? And that's not a spelling mistake, because every business, every ship owner is sales driven. So some argue it's not about being good, it's about looking good, doing it. Here's the question. Ethics may not be your anchor, but they do make good PR. A lot of time people talk about being and doing ethically sound practices. But I spoke to you about the pillow earlier, and that pillow will be your your conscience, that will prick you. I want to leave you with some takeaways that they say. So maintaining independence, when you are a consultant, it's very important to tell them how it is and not what they like to hear. So maintaining independence and objectivity is key. Upholding integrity and honesty is as well as important. Avoiding conflicts of interest. Have you ever seen a heart surgeon trying to operate on your knee or anyone's knee? That, my dear friends, happens a lot in shipping. You will see a tanker captain going and looking at dry bulk cargo and trying to advise there. They're completely different. One flows, one sits where you dumped it. But it happens quite often. In medical practices, they don't. If you have a criminal lawyer, he will not try to review your contract and try to advise you the right words. He will try to represent you in a criminal court, and that's his specialization. So, conflicts of interest are very important to bear in mind. Commitment to continuous professional development is key. I had a boy in my office wanting apprenticeship, and he said 1 year he's been looking for a job. I said, have you done any on search engine and digital marketing? I said, have you done any short courses? You've done your graduation in digital marketing. In this 1 year, have you done anything to upgrade yourself? He said, no. I said, that's why you're not getting a job. That's moved on. 1 year ago, what they taught you in college is no more valid, or maybe is old news. You got to keep yourself, so professional development is very important. Maintaining ethical guidelines. Let's finish off. This is my last slide. But report unethical conduct. We have MECAN, Maritime corruption is reported these days. When you go into, there are custom duties, there are transits to Suez Canal, there are a lot of these questions, there are a lot of things. I don't want to mention any particular area but or examples, but a lot of unethical. So we have a organization which takes in such reports and whistleblowing. And that, I think, is the future of how corruption is going to be dealt internationally. Providing clear and concise reports is very important. A lot of times people think the longer the report, the bigger the dossier a consultant gives, the better it is. It is actually the other way around. The shorter and concise your executive summary is what people decide whether to go into the report or not. So avoid misrepresentation of service is another thing. How many times have you gone into a shop and said, do you have this is product? He says, it's not there, but wait here, I'll get it for you from somewhere. The ethical thing is to say 3 shops down the line, that chap is selling it, not me, please go and give him the business, but he will want to have that 10% commission by buying from here and giving it to you, and that is questionable in my view. Fostering professional relationship. The biggest and the most important relationship, if you have, will be with your staff. How you are in relationship with your family, and how your friends regard you as a person who keeps relationship. If that is not well connected, you will not be able to transmit a sound story to your clients out there. So actions are very important. Respecting life, law, and environment is key. Transparency in reporting and communicating. And ethical conduct is just not for compliance. It is directly related to leadership in business, particularly so if you're at sea. Because if you're a captain at sea, lives depend on your decisions. Whether to slow down. One call on the loudspeaker, abandon ship, people wear the life jackets and jump into a small boat, and that cannot happen if you don't have ethical conduct, and that's important to understand. And on your way out, you will get a lot of questions and conflicts in your mind. But remember, ethics float until a cynical mind comes along and sinks them. So keep your ethics afloat. I have written a book, and that's my acknowledgement. Chapter number 19, Ethics of Maritime Consultancy, Business and Consultancy, is a chapter that I've written in Maritime Skills, and that's where most of the information that I've spoken about today. I've completed courses in ethics. That's a certificate there, and that's my LinkedIn profile if you all want to stalk me. Thank you very much for a patient listen. I am absolutely honored to be on the Red Dot today. And as you can see, I am representing a very ethical background, and that's why I am dressed the way I am. Thank you very much for a patient listen.